guys, welcome to Cigar Church, where our passion for cigars and our love for Jesus come together. And we are in a new location for us filming. We are in Stillwater, Oklahoma at Stag Lounge. It's part of the Omerta Cigar Company group. And I'm sitting here next to my man, Joel Reeser, who runs this place, man. You are the boss of bosses here. And I love it, man. But we're going to talk to Joel here in just a little bit, not just about Stag, but we're going to talk to him about what he's got going on the side. I mean, everybody's got to have a side hustle, right?
Got to do it.
And so we'll talk about that in a second. But before we get into it, let's talk about what we're smoking today, guys. We'll start with all the way over here and work our way over to Dan. So, Steve, what are you smoking?
I'm smoking the Last Rites Black Label Company. I know Dan smoked it a few times on the show, I believe. Ecuadorian Maduro wrapper, I believe, and Honduran binder, and Nicaraguan Honduran filler. Is that right?
A little bit of everything, yes, sir.
The reason I'm asking him because he reps Black Label Company, so I don't want to mess that up.
Well, and you're going to notice the theme. We're all smoking stuff from Black Label, Black Studio, or Black Work Studio, and all that Oveja Negra
nailed it.
Group. And we'll be talking about that a little bit with Joel. But that Last Rites is a wonderful cigar. And it's awfully early in the morning for you to start that strong. You're going right in, man. You're going right in. I went a little bit lighter. I've got the Killer Bee Connecticut. Just a beautiful cigar. We've talked about, when we talked about Jake White and some of those other ones, that put a lot of craft into making the cigar look good. This is one of those cigars that, I mean, the cap on it, they would you call that triple cap or even, I mean, they do a little bit of design on the top.
Yeah, it's there's two wrappers in there along with the binder and filler, but just the team with Leva down there and everybody, just the ability to do the dual blends, and that was one of the earlier ones too.
Yeah, and it's amazing, man. I love it. It's a great morning cigar. I don't have my cup of coffee, but it's a great pairing with some coffee, and just enjoying it. It's a good size too. It's a Robusto, small Robusto size, and an easy one for this episode. So, Joel, what are you smoking, brother?
Funnily enough, that was my my OG when I would have the morning, but then shortly after that, or a few years ago, we came out with the Deliverance Porcelain. And it's the Corona Gorda. This, like Clay was saying, this is great with coffee, which I've gone halfway through, so I don't have it with me. I know shock to many people, but Ecuadorian Connecticut, binder, Ecuadorian binder, multiple fillers, but really good one in the morning too to get started.
Great.
So,
Wonderful. Dan, your last. What do we got, buddy?
I've got the Rorschach, which is I think it's Ecuadorian wrapper with Nicaraguan binder and filler.
Yeah, and that's the short Robusto size on that, which came out a few years ago. So if you don't have maybe the 20-minute smoke, maybe like 30-40 with that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. And the other Rorschach is the smaller size, right?
Petite Penatella size too.
Yeah, that's a great one. And that is a good 20-minute smoke when you're just wanting to get out, get something done
for some of that Tuesday weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up,
Yeah, so we're here specifically to talk with Joel. I mean, it's been, we've known each other for, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years, something like that. And great friendship over the cigar, and just getting to know each other and getting to know each other's hearts. And we've been trying for quite a while to get out here and record with you.
Crazy weather
and be a part of Stag Stillwater out here. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at Stag, what you got going, what you offer in the humidor.
Sure.
I mean, we're in a college town, so you got a little bit of the college feel.
It's funny you say that. They call me the mouth of the Midwest, so those who don't know. But I
didn't know you knew that.
Yeah, 100%. If it wasn't second tier on the shirt, it would have been that. No, honestly, guys, and we'll talk about that, but I was the in-house rep for Oveja Negra, for Black Works, Black Label Dissident, and Emilio for about 2.5 years with Ben Hull, when he was still with the company, James Brown, Angela, and everybody. But getting ready to renew, I had a unique opportunity to come back home, as our good friend Dwayne Poor says, with Jared Jackson, some of our great friends. And part of that process, which is funny, as a lifelong OU fan, it's a running joke here. 3 blocks from this fine university, flags everywhere.
I almost said opportunity when we started. I almost said it.
Oh, no, it's all good, man.
But I noticed you wore your New York Yankees hat with a little orange on it. Was that subliminal? Was that, I don't know.
That's truly America's team, But no, and we had this opportunity. I came and looked at our old location over on McElroy. The puzzle came together. I was doing some other things in the meantime, and lo and behold, about 2.5 years ago, we had the opportunity to open our old location on McElroy. Moved down here about maybe a year and a half ago.
Right.
We love it. I mean, this is a great community. You know, as I always say with this doesn't care.
Not at all.
Political beliefs, color of your skin, etc. Like, this is a friend to everybody.
What college you support.
Yeah, for sure. But just a great community up here. I've fallen in love with the city and the people, like legit. And
so you traded in your crimson for some orange?
no, man, it's well, I tell you what, both teams were not good last year.
No, it was a rough season.
But it is draft season, you know, so we're watching both. But no, when we, as Clay had referenced earlier, we are still doing some brokering, as what is called a side hustle for some great companies. If you don't mind me just
go for it.
We do CLE Asylum and everything with Christian and Tom Lazuka up there, great people. We do Aventura with Emerson Ventura, Marcel and Nicole, great folks, and then of course, as opportunities come, and we had the opportunity to do Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri for Oveja Negra, which was about a 5-minute conversation.
Absolutely.
We love it. I mean, I know the brand inside out. Funnily enough, we're doing an event here on the 27th of February. It's our first Oveja event here. So I keep telling everybody, I know the rep. I heard he's a good guy.
He's all right. So So you've worked on not just both sides of the coin with the cigar world. You've worked on multiple sides of it. I mean, from some of the bars that the Omerta group runs with the 2 Stag locations in Wilshire and all of that.
Absolutely.
And then working the humidor, and I remember back in the day when you were just pushing cigars, early on at Omerta.
Register guy.
What's it like working on the rep side of the industry as opposed to the retail side of the industry? Which do you prefer?
Whoa, that's a loaded question. Actually, it's interesting, man, because I've been in business for myself before and had some opportunities to do some things. I love the rep side of it because one of the things that we all like to probably do more, especially with you guys doing Cigar Church now, is travel.
Yeah.
And especially when I was in-house, I was covering 6 states because we had in Arkansas towards the end, but I loved it. And our great national sales manager, Mr. Derek Matthews.
Name dropping.
No, it's my guy. He would get mad at me. I use that because, man, I was traveling like 2.5, 3 weeks out of the month. But I'm a single guy.
Right.
Because I loved it. I mean, you're going anywhere from Nacogdoches, Texas to Dallas to St. Louis, Missouri to West Texas. I fell in love with West Texas.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, some of the salt of the earth out there. Louisiana. I mean, my God, you eat like a po' boy in every city. It's wonderful. So that side of it was great. But there's something magical about, and this is both the shop side, like with the Omertas and then Stag, about the customer interaction. You know, I remember, I think it was Jared or somebody else, maybe our good friend Clyde Percy said this at 2nd Street Cigar 2. We don't sell cigars, sell drinks, we sell the experience. And the opportunity to meet so many different folks, regulars, new folks, etc., is really neat. I think what throws a lot of people off is when rep friends come in here, come up for a visit or whatever, and I'll pour them a drink or serve them a cocktail because like guys are like, man, I know. It's like, bro, I know. It's weird. But I have to thank our staff like at Stag. I learned a lot from Aspen Brown.
Oh, absolutely.
And some of our folks down there, G, just that taught me that side of it. But man, I don't know. There's joy that you can find in both of those. And that's, especially with what y'all do, like, you've got to be able, if you don't look forward to what you do, why you do it?
Exactly. And I love that you touch on not just in the shop, the local shop, but as you're repping. It's the exact same thing, just a different version of it.
Pretty much.
It's the fellowship.
Yeah.
It's the connections.
Bingo.
It's when you hit that shop that you haven't been to in a couple of months, and you walk in, you see a couple regulars that you saw the last time you were there, or whatever, and you connect with them. All over just this silly thing called a cigar, that brings us all together, that doesn't care what team you like, who you voted for, any of that. And it's just beautiful to see that in the local shop here in Stillwater, in the local shop in Oklahoma City, but also when you're in 6 different states, just all those connections. We've had guys like Big Tony Gomez.
Oh my God, we love Tony.
And everybody just seems to come up with that exact same purpose behind, here's why I do it. Of course it's a job. Of course it pays the bills. Of course it's, this, that, or the other. But when it's all boiled down to the most important thing, it's that relationship that you build with the client, whether the client's a company or the client's an individual in the company.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit here, though. What do you have in the humidor? What makes the humidor here at Stag special?
It's interesting, and I could take full credit and accountability for the humidors. No, but I'll tell you this, y'all know my partner Jared Jackson, who I love, and all that. And it's interesting. Like, I smoke everything.
Yeah.
But you can't build your humidor that way. And somebody said, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, I can find a different cigar in there every day.
Yeah.
But we've got folks that smoke everything. So you've got your legacy brand. We sell a lot of Drew Estate, obviously. Lance Lewis, Ryan Rayford, all our great friends there. You know, General Cigars with Kenny Bourne, Altadis with Eddie Gavito, all these great folks. Those are, heck, even CLE and Asylum, realistically, are legacy brands. Padron, Fuente. But we have a great group, so we've got a good mix of boutique cigars, too. And that term is even interesting, Clay, if I don't mind saying this. You know, you talk about Oveja Negra, our great friends at Roma Craft, et cetera, being legacy brands or boutique brands. Those brands have been around for over 10 years now. So, like, are they, those are legacy brands.
When's that label go away?
Yeah.
When does that label go away?
Like the day you first smoked the cigar. It's like a running joke in the industry. But no, and don't get me wrong, brands like that, Pashik or Pastania, we carry Jake Wyatt. I mean, it's, a little bit, Aventura, obviously, and Steve Sock of Foundation. I mean, it's like, it's something for everybody. If you can't find a cigar like that you like in here, we'll put you on something new.
Yeah, and
that's what's great about what we do.
And that's what I love about guys, like Joel. When you go into a good cigar lounge, if you can't find the cigar you're looking for, when you got somebody like Joel that knows the humidor, knows the different blends, has been in the industry long enough, he will put you on something you like. And back when you were at Omerta in South Oklahoma City, one of my favorite things to do was just come in and go, Joel, tell me what I'm smoking today.
Circle table crew.
Yeah, tell me what I know what I like to smoke.
Yeah.
You knew my palate just because of our interactions, and I'd just be like, what am I smoking today? And you'd always put a good stick.
And we still, and I always appreciated that about you, brother. It reminds me, I just referenced the Circle Table Crew. Interesting, because one of those guys works for Clyde Percy now. You know, one of them manages Omerta. It was just, Todd, our great friend Todd White, and a bunch of guys just used to sit there and brother up, fellowship, and what have you. But I think you and I still pretty much smoke the same thing. But I always, that was always a great respect from you to me, and I would do the same with you. Like, Clay, what am I smoking today? Yeah. Because if you understand kinship of just what we do, but your palate, my palate, I trust you. You trust me.
Exactly.
And if I steer you wrong once, you only get one opportunity to mess up. That's true story. That's true story.
And I'll tell you, you've never steered me wrong.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And so that's good. That's good. All right, guys, let's shift gears just a little bit and look at our text for today. We've got an amazing text that I want to go over. And it's in Matthew chapter 6, starting in verse 14 and 15. And it reads like this. For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive you your trespasses. And I mean, it's a wonderful text about forgiveness. It's a wonderful text about just this beautiful thing that the Lord offers us, where the things that we've done wrong, the things that we have hurt others, the things that we have done to hurt Him and our relationship with Him, He is ready to forgive us. But there's this scary addition to that if we don't forgive, that we don't get forgiveness either. That when we forgive others, we receive forgiveness as well. But when we don't forgive, we're not forgiven. What are your thoughts on this, guys? This is a tough text.
For me, we talk about forgiveness of, us forgiving other people, and sometimes that's difficult, but I feel like sometimes, I'll speak for me personally, sometimes I feel like asking forgiveness from God is flippant, almost. It's like, oh, God, forgive me what I did today. Almost like the Lord's Prayer, where it's just
kind of a rote going through the motions.
But, when we have to forgive other people, I feel like that kind of puts it in a different perspective, because we have to understand, no, we've wronged God, and we've got to ask His forgiveness, just like we have to forgive somebody else, even if they don't ask that forgiveness.
Right.
And I feel
they
like
don't know.
I've told the story before, but I had a moment when this became very real to me. I had a professor in college that did me wrong. I'm not going to get into the details of it. It's nobody's business but my own. But had said some things about me and really had hurt me. And years later, I'm at a youth event as a youth pastor, taking kids to this event, and he's the speaker at this event. I'm sitting there just stewing the whole time. I'm mad, and what is he doing on stage, and he's done this and this. Jesus, and he was a great speaker and deserved to be up there. But I'm upset, and in the middle of him speaking, I was convicted of my unforgiveness toward him, and went up to him afterward after the event. And I went up to him just to talk about it and say, hey man, I've held this against you and haven't forgiven you of it. And I would like to, just tell you that I forgive you now. And when I approached him, he had no idea who I was. Wow. He didn't even recognize me. And I had changed over the years, sure. and that he had how many hundreds and hundreds of students went through his classes. But I realized in that moment, releasing him of that and forgiving him of that had nothing to do with him. It had to do with me, and healing me, and my relationship with God was completely contingent. I mean, I completely that day was just lost in anger over it because he was there, and that hurt me, not him.
And you could have missed a good message.
I did. I'm sure I did miss a great message that night.
That's what I always tell people is you're not. If you have hatred in your heart, you don't forgive somebody, you're hurting yourself. Sure. You're not hurting them. They have no idea. They probably don't even care.
Yeah. They don't even know. I mean, and that's to me, when we talk about how other people have wronged us, I've had people come up to me and say, man, you hurt my feelings, you said this or whatever. And I didn't even realize it. Not that I didn't remember it. I just didn't even realize that I had said something to them, or said something in a sermon, or interacted with them, or ignored them, or whatever. I had no idea I wronged them, And so I didn't have the ability to go to them and ask for forgiveness, And so a lot of times it is. That's just something that we hold on to when we shouldn't. Forgiveness is a big deal. It's a powerful thing.
Another thing I've taught people: if you can't forgive if you don't want to physically see somebody and forgive them in person, you can always write a letter. And never give it to them. But that helps you release the burden off your shoulders.
And I don't mean to tell somebody else's story. We haven't talked about this, but you remember old Gunner, Rick Green.
From Lounge, God
passed away years
Great
ago.
Guy.
Wonderful man. After he came to know the Lord, him and I sat down, and him and his son was estranged.
Sat next to him
for
in church
years.
One time when you were preaching a message.
He was estranged with his son after a terrible divorce with his first wife, and that's exactly what he ended up doing, writing a letter to him because his son wouldn't take his phone calls. And we sat down. I helped him pen that letter. It was great. I mean, all I did was help him get through the emotion of it. And it was all his words, all that. And about a month later, I came into Omerta, and him and his son are sitting there smoking a cigar together.
That's awesome.
One of the most powerful moments, man. I'm kind of getting choked up thinking about it. And he just grinned at her, and he said, Clay, I want to introduce you to my son. And because of that forgiveness, his relationship with his son, before, it was only 6 months, 7 months before he died that went down. He was able to reconcile it. Could you imagine if that forgiveness wouldn't have happened and he died, and how his son would feel?
Horrible thing.
I mean, just so forgiveness is such an important part. I'm going to say this. I haven't said this before very often. Forgiveness is one of those universal truths. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, we want you to believe in Jesus. We want you to know Him. We want you to know His forgiveness. But just the idea of forgiveness is such a beautiful universal truth that it's something that you should practice regardless of your belief.
And it's the phrase, to err is human, forgiveness divine, And, we were talking about it. It's funny, like we were sharing a little bit before that, I really don't get the opportunity to talk about my faith, but we get into some deep dives, But what's interesting is you had referenced the cross in a conversation. And, people always talk about the line, Lama Lama Sabachthani, was it, my God, why hast thou, forsaken me and whatnot. People really don't understand the context, but if you think about it for a split second, and we don't understand that with the dynamics of time and the whatnot, but when it went dark, it was like the Lord turned his head for that split second. And you think about, you hear the term, the weight of the world. Well, think about the sins of the world going on this Son of God, this Godhead, but a man that's already been beaten 6 ways to Sunday, and taking that upon him. I mean, we're talking about, wronging a neighbor or, spilling over somebody's trash, but we're talking about war and pestilence and famine, and even things that we go into like Genesis 6 stuff,
Dude,
you we're not talking about
slavery, and you start talking about all these other just horrible things,
and all that stuff on this man, and it's just wild. And some grudges can be tough to forgive. It's crazy. I think about my entire life. I've wronged people have wronged me, but I can sit here with y'all now, and I don't have any grudges against anybody. Life is too short. And what's interesting is you mentioned our good friend Gunner Green. The Lord's got a good sense of humor, because one of my good customers here reminds me so much of Gunner. We call him Mike Carter, a great guy. And now Gunner not only has a seat at the heavenly table, smoking cigars if we're allowed to do that on the Lord's time, but
I hope.
He's sitting there next to Bobby. And what's cool is when his son ends up, hopefully many years from now, he's going to be able to sit there and smoke with his father and good friends too. Isn't that something?
Absolutely.
Wild times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Joel's right. The key to this goes to the cross, where the forgiveness that we've received was given to us by what Jesus did on the cross, and taking the whole weight of the world's sins onto him. There's 8 billion people in the world right now.
Man,
but how many billions of people have lived?
Yeah.
All sin from the beginning of time till the time he returns. All of that sin was placed on him in that moment. I can't imagine the weight of that for him by himself, but also the turning away of the Father in that moment, and just that's the level of forgiveness we've received from him. So it shouldn't be that difficult for us to receive or to forgive that grudge, to forgive that wrong that's been done to us.
And go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was, I think that's the beautiful part of the cross and the horror of the cross. We talk about the suffering he did physically and not belittling that at all. But I think, in my personal opinion, that was probably the hardest thing that Jesus endured.
Oh, absolutely.
Was God turning away.
Yeah.
And the other side of that was when, at the end, he asked for God to forgive them,
for they don't know what they're doing.
And a lot of people take that as to say, forgive the people that did all this and put me on this cross. They don't know what they're doing. I don't think so. I think what Jesus was saying is, forgive them as a race. They don't understand the gravity of what they're doing when they sin. They don't, because I feel like God understands. But we don't. And I feel like that Jesus, being man, suddenly understood. They don't get it. They don't get it. Father, forgive them because they don't get it.
And here's one for you too. Like, whenever somebody goes through a transgression or a wrong, who do they blame? Who's the first person they blame?
God.
Right. I had this conversation with my dearly departed sister, God rest her soul, and I was thinking about this. We had this conversation on Off Sunday or something one time, and I was like, nobody ever blames the enemy. You think about it, we don't really understand time contextually. And the enemy, people are like, oh God, why not the enemy? You got to think, this dude has already lost the game, and he knows he's on his way out.
Absolutely.
So he's like, I was from a movie, but I'm going to take as many people down with me. If you think about the brevity and the gravity of that situation, that's crazy.
It is.
Because it's like, you talk free will and this, that, and the third, but it's like, it could be as simple as, me being an East, Italian from Baltimore with some sailor talk and stuff. But we're not talking about, like, you think about people like Pol Pot and Idi Amin and all these, Killer Hitler, all these people in history. Like, did they ever wrestle with the conversation? That's insane. We're talking about cussing and having a late drink, too many, and it's just like, you get into the context of that, going back to the cross. That's insane to me.
Absolutely.
That's some real world stuff there.
And just the weight of all of that sin on Jesus is just incredible.
The debt's been forgiven, but like, bro, people still sinning. You're still sinning every day, man.
Still doing it.
That's going to keep going on.
A great discussion over forgiveness. And if you have anything that you want to talk about this, feel free to mention it in the comments. If there's something that you're having a hard time forgiving or something that you need forgiveness for, man, we'd love to talk to you about that, and even talk to you a little bit more about the practicality of forgiveness and what that means for you. And so drop that in the comments, and we'd love to engage with you on that. Guys, this is a great discussion. Glad to have Joel with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
How's those smokes going, guys? Dan, how's that?
I really enjoyed this. Is actually
The
the first time
Rorschach,
I've
right?
had the Rorschach.
The short booster?
Yeah.
Oh, it won't be the last.
It is good. I'm a Black Label guy.
Oh, yeah.
Love
Appreciate
Black
that.
Label. Last Rights is one.
Great cigar.
I've got several in my humidor. So I love them, but it's a good stick.
And those are great people, too.
They are. They're
James
wonderful
and Angela
people.
Brown, and they're
We've met them a few
team.
times. Wonderful people. Hopefully we'll get to see them at PCA.
That'll be some good stuff.
One thing that we didn't smoke that I thought about bringing in was the Bishop's Blend. That's a great cigar, too.
I still got a couple of them hanging out for
a solid cigar.
That's a hitter.
So how's your Last Rights doing?
It's a rotation for a reason. It's a good cigar.
Yeah, it's a great one. The porcelain doing well? You barely got any left.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times a week, man.
We're both down here just nubbing it.
Oh, yeah, we'll
barely
get
getting
it. These guys here use screws.
Yeah.
You got some
crazy.
cats
That's
out
crazy.
here.
Bunch of rednecks up here.
Well, I take good salt to the earth, people.
Salt to the earth.
Yeah.
This killer beast Doing wonderful.
Good to hear.
So as always, there's a few things we want to remind you guys of.
Yeah, if you enjoy our channel, watch our videos, like and subscribe.
If you don't, please like and subscribe.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like
If
them,
you're already subscribed, cool.
Helps analytics. Understand that. I'm
Yeah.
a gaming nerd and a
Yeah.
draft nerd. It helps
really
their
does.
analytics. Do it.
and tickle the bell icon because you'll be notified when we drop new videos, and we drop them quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you got your prayer request, email us at contactcigarchurch@gmail.com and stevecigarchurch@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you didn't see our announcement earlier, at this point, it'd be last month. If you didn't see that announcement, we've got some big stuff coming up. So go back and look at that. And as always, excuse me, as always, smoke a fine cigar to the glory of God. We'll see you next week. Boom.
Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started.